Due to the global supply shortage, this episode of Triple Click is running a little late. You can expect it around December. Welcome to Triple Click, where we bring the games to you. This week we are talking about Deathloop, a video game about traveling through a time loop and causing as much death as possible. Did we like it? I think so. Let's go. I'm Jason Schreier.
I'm Kirk Hamilton.
And I'm Maddy Myers.
Hello.
It's us.
And hi.
It's us.
It's us. The three of us.
We are back. It is us. It is. What's that line in Undertale? You look in the mirror and it's just you.
You look in the Skype call and it's just us.
And it's just us.
It's as far as we know, it's just us.
You look in your podcast app of choice and it's just us. Speaking of us, did you know that you can support us by becoming a Maximum Fun member? Triple Click is entirely listener supported. We do not have advertisements. We are able to do the show because of contributions from all of you fine listeners. And you can support us by going to MaximumFun.org/join. If you do so, you don't just get that warm, fuzzy feeling that comes with supporting your favorite podcast. You also get bonus episodes every single month, including this most recent one, which we ran this week, about Half-Life 2 plus Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. And not Episode 3, because that doesn't exist. But
Epistle 3.
Yeah.
And Half-Life Alyx. A lot of Half-Life stuff.
Lots of good stuff in there. Yeah, that was a really fun Beans cast that we did. So you can get access to that if you're a member. And lots of other cool stuff. So big thanks to all of you who support the show. And to those of you who listen to the show without supporting it. That's cool too. Just tell your friends, spread this show far and wide.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on with it, shall we? Kirk, Maddy, we have all been playing a video game. There's something very exciting, always exciting about the time when a new game comes out and all three of us are playing it at once. It's just a lot of fun.
It is. It is.
Let's do it, shall we? Today it's time for a triple play, and this week's triple play is Deathloop. Deathloop is developed by Arcane Studios, specifically Arcane Lyon in France. It is published by Bethesda, aka Microsoft's Bethesda, which gives it the interesting distinction of being a PS5 exclusive that is published by Microsoft, which is a very funny thing because it was the agreement to make it a console exclusive on the PlayStation was set before Microsoft bought Bethesda, which is pretty funny.
We are definitely in the kind of weird in-between period of that deal. Though it is also on PC, and that word exclusive,
yes, it is also on
exclusive,
PC.
Whatever. We all played on PC, I think. So.
We all played it on PC, yes.
Yeah.
It is out on PlayStation and PC.
We all got codes for it, by the way.
Oh, we did. Or I guess I'm playing it on a press account, but you got a code.
Yeah, I'm playing. I mean, I haven't gotten a code from Bethesda in 8 years. You know, Bethesda still blacklists me, even though I went to a Bloomberg.
Well, they aren't blacklisting me over at Polygon, so it just
you got a
depends
code
on where
from
you
them.
go.
Yeah. No. Well, it's a me specific thing. It's because I did all the stuff.
Yeah,
that,
you were the specific offender. I think.
It's not that they go after every ex-Kotaku employee. It's just me specifically.
Although they are still blacklisting people who currently work at Kotaku. This is really off topic, but just in case people were curious about the state of the Bethesda blacklist.
Well, it's interesting.
It's still going, baby.
I do think it doesn't get talked enough that a major video game publisher has blacklisted one of the biggest gaming websites for years and years, and people just continue to cover them as if things are normal. It's just a very strange thing. But anyway, that's besides the point. We still. As long as the blacklist is gone. Well, I was going to say, for as long as the blacklist is gone, I have done my best to cover Bethesda's games as fairly and as honestly as possible, despite that, which I think is a professional thing to do. And we will do the same right now. Let's talk about Deathloop, a fascinating game. I have many, many opinions on it. I think we'll all go around and give our impressions, starting with how much you've finished or how much you've played of the game so far. So, Maddy, why don't you go first and give your overall impressions?
Sure. So I have completed the game, and I also watched stuff on YouTube. I've read a lot of Reddit theories. I've gone as far into the deep end as you can in terms of Deathloop completion, I think. I haven't gotten every achievement, but you know what I mean. I feel like I know what I'm talking about with the lore
You're
of this
a Deathloop master. You're a Deathloop lord.
Maybe too much. Maybe I went too far in. So I enjoyed a whole lot of this video game, more than I thought I would, because I'm not a stealth person. People remember from the Hitman episode that was a real challenge for me. And this Deathloop is very much a Kirk Hamilton game and not a Maddy game. And there were definitely a lot of moments when I was shooting my way through situations that I do not think Deathloop necessarily wanted me to shoot my way through, but I just found a way to do it anyway. And you can kind of get away with that for a lot of the game. But then anytime I had to do a stealth mission, I would struggle with that. So I took about 22 hours to beat it. Jason, I believe you said you beat it in 14. So that's sort of the range of what you can do if you're, I assume you played it like stealthy the whole way, or did you shoot your way through situations as well?
Yeah, mostly. But I'll talk about my experiences when we get to me. I want to hear your overall thoughts.
So I felt like the first few hours were super hard. This is not an uncommon experience with Deathloop, by the way. It took me a while to get my bearings. You're stuck in a time loop. You're this guy named Colt, very funny guy, talks to himself a lot, also talks on the phone to this woman, Juliana, who's trying to kill him and preserve the time loop the entire time. Mostly their relationship plays out in these funny little phone calls that they have. And as Colt, so you're reliving the same day over and over again, Groundhog Day style, except eventually you figure out ways to preserve some of your guns loop to loop. And you also get these like cyborg implants. They're not literally that, but I don't know what else to describe them as. The slabs
Special
that give
powers.
you superpowers. And you can preserve those eventually loop to loop. And as the game goes on, more things fall into place. You get to know each of the different maps that you explore like the back of your hand. So at first you're like, I don't know where the hell I'm going. But then eventually you're like, oh, Upton, I've navigated this place 1 billion times. I know exactly which dumpsters to hide behind and which guys are going to be where and which lines of dialogue I've heard 600 times. And by that point, you feel like a freaking master. And by the time you get to the end of the game, you are a god and you undergo the perfect time loop. And because the whole point is that you're trying to escape the time loop. And the only way to do that is to kill the right people.
So you break the time loop by going out and killing these visionaries, they're called, who have created this thing. And you learn more and more about them as you go. And so the perfect time loop you're talking about is where you figure out how to kill all 8 in a single day without the day going back in time and repeating, because that's more challenging than you would think, since they're all in different locations.
And the puzzle box aspect of the game, I found very satisfying. I thought it was super fun to set up the pins and knock them down. I liked all the mechanical aspects of the game. I liked the story at first, but then didn't like the ending. But we're not going to talk about that on this show. But I will foreshadow my thoughts on that by just saying I was kind of let down by the end.
You were let down by the end.
I still mostly like the game. I want to know what Kirk thinks, though.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because that's an arcane trend. A lot of people get disappointed with their endings. Yeah. Prey had one of the worst endings in modern memory. Kirk, what are your thoughts on Deathloop?
I love this game. I mean, it's not probably surprising.
Start by how far you are, by the way.
I'm going to start by saying that I like the game, and then I'll tell you how far I am. I really like the game.
No!
I played like 16 hours of this game. I haven't finished. I'm getting there. I'm really taking my time. Man, I've seen play times go up into the 30 hours. Some of my Steam friends, I'm assuming, have finished the game at like 34 hours. So you can play this game a lot more than just blasting through the story, because there's a ton of pretty cool optional stuff. And I'm playing with all the waypoint markers turned off. That's the one HUD adjustment that I've made that I think maybe both of you made, or Jason, I know you said you made it as well. I really recommend that for people playing this game.
No, I said people should make it because I regretted not making it, but I'll get to me.
Oh, I see. Okay. So yeah, I turned that off really early. I do that in all of these games, and it makes a huge difference. I think it makes for a very, very different kind of a game, which is much more of a sort of slow-moving detective game that's a lot more confusing and opaque than it would otherwise be. But that's okay. And I turned on subtitles a little ways in, and that has made the game a lot less opaque, because, man, it really feels like getting thrown into the deep end at first in terms of the story. There's a lot of names to keep straight, a lot of just lingo and sort of scientific pseudoscience jargon about this time loop and the way they engineered it and the company that did it and your role in it and everybody else's role in it. And so it's kind of fun to just feel like, wow, I'm in the middle of this time loop. All this wild stuff is going on. And now I just need to kind of slowly swim toward the surface from these depths. And so I've enjoyed that experience quite a bit. And I'm just kind of exploring, figuring things out. So I've got a few people kind of dialed, a couple of their storylines dialed to where you figure out, okay, well, if I like sabotage this guy's experiment, then he won't stay and do science. So he'll go to the party later tonight so I can kill him and the other guy at the same time. And that means I don't have to go to this location or that one. So that's kind of the like narrative problem solving you're doing. In terms of the gameplay, I love the way that this game plays. So I'm playing on PC, and I've played every one of Arcane's games, both Arcane Austin and Arcane Lyon. And I think this is a really interesting evolution in the way that they design games. So the big lesson in Death of the Outsider, which is the most recent game from Arcane Lyon, it's a sort of expand-alone. It's really just a standalone Dishonored game. The big lesson in that game was that you don't want to tie a morality system to killing people. So in the previous Dishonored games, they were very similar. I mean, these games are all very similar. This is basically a Dishonored game with guns. You get the Dishonored abilities, chain guys together, kill one, they all die. You get the blink. It's like feels and moves the same engine, same controls. So it's really a Dishonored game. It's just in a different kind of Bioshock-y sort of more modern thing, and you have a pistol.
And Destiny loot.
Yeah, it does
loot.
have a little bit of loot. That's true. I mean, there are some differences, but it really feels like Dishonored. And it really feels like Death of the Outsider, which is a fantastic game. And it was so fun playing that game and finally just being like, whatever, I can kill people or not kill people. It's all in just how I want to play. And this game really embraces that too, which is really smart. The thing they've learned, and the thing that Deathloop builds into its narrative structure, is that it's always more fun, at least for me, to play these games multiple times. There's so many ways that you can achieve a given goal in a Dishonored game, like killing the guy, and there's all these achievements tied to them, and there's multiple, you can do the violent or non-violent path, and all this cool stuff, and those games get really rewarding if you play them a bunch, to the point where if you watch speedrunning videos of Dishonored players, they're like unbelievable, like magic ninjas just flying through the world, catching bombs in midair and throwing them back at guys and stabbing people. They don't touch the ground. They kill like 15 dudes in 3 seconds. And it's because they've played the level a million times and memorized it, where a lot of people, I think, just play through the Dishonored story and then they're like, okay, well, that was cool. I beat it in like 11 hours and that's that, which is a much less rewarding way to play. I think it's so smart that they've built that loop in, which is something that Arcane Austin did in Prey Mooncrash, which is one of my favorite games of that year, whenever that was it came out, which was a kind of roguelite, similar kind of immersive sim with multiple characters where you died and restarted and kind of played through the levels over and over again and learned them with different abilities, which is something that you do here in Deathloop. So I think that they're really getting to something cool, and it's been very satisfying to see their kind of design ethos reach a new level. And I think this game is at a new level. It's really, really cool, and I really like playing it.
So something else to that point that I think they've really embraced with this game is that a lot of people, myself included, tend to want to have the perfect stealth run and quick save and quick load over and over again until if they screw up until they do that, and that can be a frustrating way to play. But it can also be like hard to pull yourself out of that once you have that mentality of like, I cannot make any mistakes. Gotta hit F5. Gotta restart. And so what they did in this game, which is smart, was they took that Hitman structure of just having these missions that like, well, I guess Hitman lets you save, so that's not a bad comparison, but they took kind of more like a roguelike concept.
Prey
of
Mooncrash. Mooncrash is really the relevant thing.
But essentially you cannot save when you're in these loops. Yeah. There isn't really too much of a penalty to dying other than like losing anything you haven't infused. So if you got a cool slab or gun or something, you'll lose it. But otherwise...
And the humiliation of having Juliana make fun of you afterwards also.
Yes.
Yes.
But the point is that like if you get spotted and like 5 guys are going after you, you're not incentivized to just kill yourself and reload. You're incentivized to stay alive and to really see it through, which I think is a smart design
Which is
choice.
a really fun way to play Dishonored as well, but it took me a lot to really force myself to do that, and even still I would save scum.
Well, as you alluded to, you feel like you're doing the wrong thing if you kill people in Dishonored because your chaos level goes up.
Well, but not in Death of the Outsider, which that was how I played Death of the Outsider.
Right. I'm saying yes. So the first couple of first two Dishonored games, you feel like the game really does not want you to kill people. In this, you're not penalized at all for killing people. So it's like you're kind of incentivized to just stay alive and gun people down. I almost felt like it was a little too easy as a result of that, but I'll get to that in a sec. So my overall impressions, I finished the game in 14 hours, and you guys will notice that seems like a low number. And Kirk, it's almost like similar to what you just said about going through Dishonored and just seeing the story, and that's it, because that is very much how I played this game. Was I followed the waypoints and just saw through the story, and I guess I was under the impression that it would branch out or open up more than it actually did. But no, if you're following the waypoints and you follow all the visionary leads, which is this menu screen, you can see that'll tell you like, okay, here is how you kill each of these people, and you track down the best way to do it. If you follow that, it'll just lead you through how to do the perfect loop and then take you to the end of the game without you having to think or do anything, like to the point
this
where
is like the mission stories in Hitman are kind of the same, where they just tell you what to do.
Well, yeah, it's basically that, and it'll just like, it is like the mission stories in Hitman. It just walks you through every single piece of it, and I guess I was expecting it. By the end, I was a little let down by the end because I expected there to be more choice and more of, I guess, a simulation, more of an immersive sim in how you actually saw through breaking the perfect loop. But no, it turns out there's only one way to do it, and the game just heavily holds your hand to the point where even when you're doing that last cycle, the game is telling you exactly where to go. It's like, okay, gotta go do this first. Don't forget to do this. And it's like leading you the whole way, which is why I highly recommend that if anyone is playing this for the first time, that they do what Kirk is doing and turn off waypoints. But even then, the game just is so handholdy. Like it's really just leading you by the nose the whole time in a way that I was a little let down by the end of things. So yeah, Kirk, I'm curious to hear, you look like you have something to say, and I'm curious to hear more about your perspective playing it without waypoints. Do you feel like you actually have to use your brain to like figure out, okay, if I sabotage Frank's fireworks, then he'll be at this point here, but I have to do this first and this first, like, or do you feel like the game is still holding your hand even without using waypoints?
I think the game is providing a lot of guidance in terms of the sort of narrative specifics of what I'm doing. And I can tell, it's just very clear to me that there isn't any freedom in terms of how to actually execute the loop. Like when Charlie and Fia are going to be together, they're going to be in one place, and I have to engineer it so they're in that place, just because there's no room for flexibility because it's so complicated getting however many fully targets there are into the same places to make it work in 24 hours. It'd be pretty remarkable if there were flexibility given how complicated a sort of full scenario that has to be. But playing the game, I feel a whole lot of freedom just in how it feels to explore and to learn those things that I have to do, even if I understand that the thing I'm going to have to do is going to be pretty prescribed. So, going through the level and just figuring out how to kill each visionary the first time has been really fun. Like Fia's level, she's hidden in this whole weird art installation, and I was kind of looking at what I needed to find, and it's different pieces of art on the wall, and they each have clues. And I was like, okay, well, this one, all right, it's like in the elevator shaft. So I go to where there's an elevator shaft, and I'm looking around and I find it. It's a lot of feelings like that, where I'm just reading a clue and then figuring it out, which is a really fun way to go. And there's also optional stuff that I've found. Charlie has made these little games in each level, and there are some where I don't even know. There's just a lever that I pull, and then I'm like, oh, okay, that like set off a timer for this lever, and I have to get to that one, and I'm kind of solving a big room-sized puzzle just to get a cool gun or something, which doesn't really have anything to do with the narrative.
Yeah, but the guns are the rewards are always extremely disappointing for all that optional content, unfortunately.
But the puzzles are really fun.
But the puzzles are really cool. Yeah. So sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh, just some of those puzzles remind me of the kinds of puzzles that are in Dishonored. Like Dishonored 2 had that huge logic puzzle you had to figure out, which is this kind of amazing moment in that game.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the game.
There's stuff like that at the margins, and I'm not disappointed by the fact that the narrative itself isn't like as flexible as it could be, partly just because I understand the constraints that they were under to even make the whole thing work at all. And it would have been pretty crazy for them to pull off something more flexible.
Yeah, and the attention to detail, it's worth noting, is like just beyond like it's comprehension. Like they have there's this one section, this is a minor spoiler, but whatever. There's this one section in Updom where there's a guy building a cannon, and if you go visit him like morning, afternoon, like evening, you will see the gradual progression of this cannon, and it gets built, and there's some fun things that happen. And
that's
like
cool.
Yeah, you can get a cool item if you like figure out the best way to deal with it.
Do
but
that.
like there are a lot of things like that where like you'll see progression of things and you'll see things change. That's the coolest part of the game to me. So the problem that I had, Kirk, even and I think I would have ran into this even if I was playing without waypoints, because this was ultimately my biggest problem with the game, is that it is just too easy. Once you get a gun, and I got a gun pretty early with suppression on it, like a silencer on it, you can just use that to just beat the entire game. Like between that and then the blink ability, shift it's called in this game, you are just teleporting everywhere, like taking out guys in a second. There's just no challenge. At least there wasn't for me, which is one of the reasons I beat it all in 14 hours. That final cycle, like there was no tension at all for me whatsoever, because I just felt the entire time like I was just blazing through it. And the only bit of tension that the game adds to it is that Juliana will hunt you, and Juliana can be played by another player who will ruthlessly like come in and try to ruin your cycles for you. I had to turn that off though, because if you're playing online, you can't pause the game, and not being able to pause the game is not an option in a house with a toddler in it. So I had to turn that off and use AI Juliana, which is not nearly as much tension because the AI is kind of stupid.
Yeah, she's not as good. Some of those players though are really tough. Like I turned it on by accident for a little while, and I was like, holy crap, is Juliana just suddenly really good? Like what is happening? I felt like I was pretty good at this, but she's like
Why
hiding.
is the computer teabagging me?
Like the AI is like so good suddenly, and then like I paused at one point and I was
funny.
like, oh my God, I'm online. All of those were real people. I'm so embarrassed now. Like they all just killed me. It was incredible.
Funny.
So yeah, there are definitely people like one of my Steam friends, Kirk, since you were mentioning that, like one of them's played for like 60 hours and she's just been Juliana for like half of that. Like she's just getting in there and playing it multiplayer.
A whole valid method of play is that people just do that. Yeah.
Well, it's a different game essentially.
I know. So I know there are a lot of people whose play counts are really high just because they're only playing the Juliana part of it and just enjoying the abilities and like hunting Colts down in cold blood, which is like a whole other aspect of it that I haven't done at all. But yeah, I would recommend not going online if you want to actually defeat
but
Juliana
that's
easily.
the problem is if you don't go online, then at least I found the game way too easy. I don't know about you, Maddy. By the end,
well,
of
I thought it was
things.
harder than you, but I don't really like stealth games that much. I get kind of bored, honestly. Like. So Kat Bailey from IGN had this tweet where she said something like, I never feel more aware of playing a video game than when I'm playing a stealth game. And I also find that true, although I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but you become so hyper aware of like video game animations and like repeating dialogue and like the quirks of the way a character walks and like, oh, they're sort of faced this way, but they can't really see me because it's a video game. And it's so unreal in a way that I don't think is personally very fun. So all of those aspects of stealth I get bored by, and I'm like, I just want to break this and see what happens and mess around and have a little more chaotic fun. So I give into that temptation a lot. Even when I'm trying to be stealthy for a few minutes, I'm like, well, what happens if I just like kill this one guy in a bombastic way? Or like, what if I just throw a grenade at those 3 guys? They're right there. I got to try it. And then I do. And then everybody's mad at me. And I
do the same thing. And I think that's fun. So I actually don't play this game as a pure stealth game. Like I have a stealthy loadout, and you're right, Jason, the stealth, like a silenced pistol is almost game breaking, or it changes the game and basically puts you on the fast track toward victory just because it's so much better than that little nail pistol that you get at first and can kill. Like I have it, with perks that like kill people from like a mile away with a headshot, and I'm playing with a mouse and keyboard. So it's just click, 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 and people die. But I'm playing with a combination. So you can equip 2 slabs at once, which gives you 2 special abilities, or at least that's what you can do where I am. Maybe you get the ability to get more later.
You do not. Another problem with the game, by the way.
Yeah, you only ever
I'm
have
surprised
2.
that someone might mod that in. I don't know, though. I think it's it's kind of an interesting choice to just have the 2.
But who isn't going to have shift? That's the thing. It's like shift and then something else.
Well, I think it'd be kind of fun, though, to play with like invisibility and, I don't know, the thing that links people together. Like to try to limit yourself. That could be fun. But I agree. I always have shift, and then I always have havoc. And havoc is an ability that just turns you into the Terminator and makes you really strong. And there are some great perks for it. Like each time you do damage, it gives you more energy, so it lasts longer. And I just have that turned on, which is really my anti-Juliana, a weapon.
Safeguard,
like she just shows up and I'm like, all right, shotgun comes out, here goes Havoc. And then I just like mow her down. And I am also playing offline because I do like to be able to pause it. And also, I don't know, like actually computer Juliana got me once because I had to go into the area where you do a class pass, which is a thing that you need to access certain doors. And then it turns off all of your slabs. And Colt, your character, has a slab, and that's the thing that gives him 3 lives. And I kind of forgot. I feel like this happens to everybody. It's like I
everyone's
forgot.
done that at some point.
I was like, oh, I just have 3 lives. And Juliana came in, and I was like, oh, this will be fine. Maybe she'll kill me. I'll just fight her. And she killed me, and then I just got a game over because my slab wasn't
lose
active.
everything.
Yeah.
Well, that happened to me with one of those like slab nullifier.
Oh, yes,
like,
the nullification
things.
fields.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful.
So that stuff, I don't know. Like, I find the game to be a pretty fun difficulty. I agree that it's not hard. I mean, the AI is pretty dim, which I don't know whether that's by design or not. It feels pretty ridiculous when you're like, it's very easy to just take people out one at a time. And I would say that it's a problem only in that it renders like the slab that links people, which is a really cool ability. Links a bunch of people together, you shoot one, and then they all die, which is really, really fun when you pull it off. But it's so easy to just shoot them one after another and they don't notice that it's kind of I don't ever equip
It's not just that. You can even use it on the visionaries and just take them out immediately. Like when, obviously, Kirk, you know that like at some point you're going to have Charlie and Fia together. And there's a whole encounter designed there where like, I won't spoil too much, but essentially like you're meant to, I guess the game wants you to like take out one and then the other one panics and like does some things. And like you're supposed to have this challenging fight against them. But if you use Nexus on both of them, you just snipe them down and like you don't even have to think about it.
But that I love. That's great. Like that's the kind of stuff that's cool where you think of something and it works.
Yes, 100%. No, it's great. It's kind of an unsolvable problem. Like how do you balance the difficulty of a game when there's so many possibilities and so many different like tools in your toolkit? But I think the issue with this game, I don't know, maybe there are a few issues that are causing the difficulty balance, but one of them is certainly that every single enemy you face is identical. Like they're all, some of them might have sniper rifles and shotguns, but like they all die to a single headshot. And once you have a silencer pistol, like we both said, like it just breaks the game. It's just over. It's just like you can take out anybody. And then that's on top of like from the beginning of the game, you get this hack-a-majig that lets you hack any turret in the game to use it against your enemies. And that just like lets you break anything. There's a lot of just like super overpowered stuff that you get from the get-go. And Maddy, I'm sorry to make you feel like a bad gamer because you had a harder time at the beginning. I certainly died plenty of times. Don't get me wrong. Like I got some game overs, lost some progress and stuff like that. But just overall, I was just disappointed by the fact that it just felt like there was no real tension for me. Especially in that final loop. That final loop really soured me on I thought the game ruled and I thought it was a brilliant game. And then that final loop really just soured me on the experience in a lot of ways. To Maddy's point earlier.
No, I know what you mean because it is true that up until that point, you can play everything however you want to play it. But when you get to the final loop, you're kind of like, well, now that I've bashed my head against the wall in every single one of these missions before, multiple times in some cases, if you're trying to perfect killing a visionary in order to like get the kill and make sure you did it right, by the time you get to the end, you're like, well, I already know the best possible way to do this. And that is the exact way that the game is telling me to do it. And I know where everyone is. And so I guess I'll just do the thing. And I think it is supposed to make you feel godlike. But in practice, it is a little bit of a letdown. And I think it just it dovetails with the narrative issue as well, where it just, which I won't get into for spoiler reasons, but it just feels like a AAA game problem where it's the end of the game, so everything has to railroad you to the credits, and like, so there needs to be a conclusion, whether or not it's earned. And it just ended up making me wish that I could just stay in the loop and keep enjoying it, which is also kind of a theme of the game, but maybe not the intention of the ending.
It's interesting because it sounds like this is weird because I'm like postulating about why you didn't like an ending that I haven't seen, and I don't want to get spoiled. But I do have a thought that is maybe interesting, and it's that this seems like a narrative issue because Outer Wilds, a game that the three of us love, that we're going to be talking about a lot more on the show in the future, does the same thing. When you do the true final loop of Outer Wilds, there's only one thing that you can do. It's a series of events, and you have to be actually very, very careful. It's even a little bit frustrating. It's pretty hard to pull off, but you have to like follow this exact thing. But the ending of that game rules because the narrative payoff, which I also won't spoil for anyone who hasn't finished, is just beautiful and amazing. So it could just be that it's not so much the fact that it's prescribed, just as what actually happens. and the ending.
Well, there are 3 endings. Maddy, I don't know if you knew that or if you
I've
only
seen
saw
them
it.
all.
You've seen them all. Okay.
I've seen
Okay,
them all.
yeah, that's a
there's-
little like Death of the Outsider, which had multiple endings as well.
Well, there's one that is like clearly meant to be the real ending, and it's the most satisfying one, and that's the one I got actually.
That's interesting. I wonder which one you think that's the case for.
Well,
Because I don't agree.
We won't spoil it.
we'll table this and maybe talk about it on the Triple Click Discord or something. But I will say, just to go back to speaking broadly about the narrative and not about the ending, the narrative isn't really the thing that's grabbing me with this game. I like the incidental writing. I think that a lot of the journals are really fun. The characters are all
The
these kind of
text logs,
Yeah.
the chat logs
Very, very
are
funny.
so funny and so worth reading. So
Right.
all of the visionaries, well, not all of them, but several of them are like horrible rich people who've just decided they want to live on this island in a time of
Alexis,
forever
just
because
the
they think
worst.
they deserve that. And Alexis is basically like this sort of Elon Musk type character who like wears a wolf mask.
Martin Shkreli.
Yeah, or
is
Martin
more,
Shkreli. Yeah, he's just abysmal and hilariously written. And like Charlie, the game designer. I mean, what game designer doesn't like putting a fake game designer in a game so that they can make fun of themselves? Like there's sort of this laser tag level with obviously real death happening in it. And so you can run around and hear Charlie's robot that he's designed, like talking about how great the game is and how Charlie's a mastermind genius. And it's amazing.
One of the best is when Charlie has a thing that's a timed challenge, and he's like, "Sorry, this was a timed challenge. I know those are kind of out of fashion right now, but hey, I'm Charlie. I do what I want." Anyway,
yeah,
continue.
it's delightful. I really enjoyed the brief moments with all the visionaries, and I have seen some people complain that the visionaries aren't even deeper characters, and I don't think I agree with that. I feel like they're perfect. I feel like you spend just as much time with each of them as you need to. I didn't need more from any of them. That wasn't my personal disappointment with the ending. I do feel like the visionaries are like really well drawn and super funny and work great as sort of caricature villain types who you're going to have to kill off no matter what. Like that is, you need to kind of want to kill them. Although actually Igor is kind of a tragic one. I mean, I like that all of them are different and you kind of learn about each of them and have different motivations in each case.
Some are more assholes than others.
Yes,
for sure.
definitely. But that's as it should be as well. If you're going to introduce 8 characters that the player needs to get to know on some level, they can't all be deep.
So with the writing, it's like I like it on that level. I just think the writers are very clever. Like this is a very clever script. Just having Wenji's a great character, duplicate herself, and her different duplicates are having conversations about the other duplicates. Like there's just all these ideas of sort of how can we have fun with this premise and with this weird wacky science
Extremely
island.
the developers clearly had fun with this.
And of course with Colt and Juliana, I mean their dialogue is so funny. We talked about this some on the villains episode. I just recently had one where they're kind of taunting each other. They always have their conversations at the start of a new level, and they just sort of do a quick back and forth. And he's like, "Yeah, well, and she just hangs up on him, and then he finishes what he was saying. And he's like, "Man, that's why she thinks I'm not cool. She misses all my best material." Like he's always trying to prove that he's cool. Anyways, all of that stuff is really fun. In terms of the bigger mysteries and the timey-wimey, sort of wibbly-bibbly of it all, like I'm not that, what is it, wibbly-wobbly timey-wiminess of it all. I'm not that interested in any of that, or like the bigger lore stuff, or just even the bigger story, like who Colt really is. It's just that stuff I don't really care. So I guess I'm not really playing it for that. And I feel like that's a good frequency to meet this game on.
Well, that's the thing. That's a good kind of microcosm for the entire game, which is that this is a game that excels at the little details. I mean, even just like being able to explore and like find people just like egging other people on to kill themselves because they'll just wake up because it's a loop, or just like some of the conversations are just incredible and hilarious, and like the party and like all of the ways that they took. I remember in a screenwriting class once back in college, there was this whole concept of like when you have this concept and then you want to just like ring it for everything you possibly can. Like you take every single possibility and you show it. And like something like Groundhog Day is a perfect example of that. You have this time loop concept, you show every possibility. And in this, they did the same thing. They took every possibility you could think of like living on this pleasure palace of
the
an
candy,
island. And like
they don't eat eat food.
Oh
they
my God,
only
the
eat
candy.
candy.
They all
There's
eat
just candy everywhere.
It's ridiculous.
Good. That was a good
just
one.
like the partying, the hedonism, just everything about it is just so well done.
And how they all seem bored and kind of bummed because actually it would suck to live on this island like that too.
Because actually hedonism isn't all that great.
It would, although none of them know how long they've been there. Like only
Right,
Colt
they
and
don't-
Juliana are capable of retaining memories. And even then it's kind of dubious as to like how and how long that lasts. But all the other characters think it's their first day on the island, and that's like a key part of how they all operate. And I think, is Harriet the name of the like cult leader character that you meet?
Harriet. Yeah,
where
yeah.
she, like, you get to hear her cult leader speech a billion times if you're trying to kill her and you're not good at it, as I was not good at it.
That's
and
a tricky one.
That,
Yeah,
because
that is
the
a-
gas,
whole
that
room
poison
fills with
gas is
poison
a
gas,
pain.
and I was always trying to go in the vents like Samus, and I feel like I was never fast enough. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So she gives this whole speech, and she's like, every other day we're going to have like a hedonistic party time, but today is a chaos day where we kill each other. But of course, every single day is the chaos day where they kill each other, and like you know that, but all of them don't know that, and they all think like, oh well, tomorrow's going to be great, and you like get to overhear them all talking about how like, oh, tomorrow's going to be really sweet, like we're just gonna vibe. And it's like, you're never gonna vibe, you're gonna feel like shit
never
every
gonna happen.
single day for the
Sorry,
rest of
buddy.
your natural lives, and you have no idea. Little touches like that are really fun, and you kind of put it together as you play, where you're like, wait a minute, every day is chaos day. Fuck, like that's crazy. That's not good.
Yeah, so I guess that's the point that I was making, is that this and everything about this game kind of works perfectly on this like detail oriented, like small microcosmic level, whereas if you just look at the overarching stuff, some of it doesn't work as well, including the overall loop at the end of things and some of the story stuff and like some of that stuff. But if you're just enjoying this game like
and
on
like,
a moment,
how does it work? And
well,
don't
that's
think about it.
other questions. There are a lot of metaphysical questions. Some of it is answered through like lore and stuff, but yeah, I think on a moment to moment level, this game rules, and I really enjoyed playing it. I just was left disappointed by some of the bigger overarching stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, its ambitions are interesting. I mean, it really has a lot in common with BioShock, just the overall vibe, the way that Rapture feels, full of splicers, people who are having a big weird party and seem trapped in this one moment in time, the like science gone awry in this isolated location. This really feels like BioShock in so many ways.
Which BioShock game do you think it's similar to?
Well, I just mean like the vibe of the game, I guess. I don't know. Like I'd have to think. I mean, it's a little like BioShock 2, I guess, because in BioShock 2, the mechanically...
Well, the aesthetic also is very similar.
Yeah, right. But the one thing, and I this is actually a thought I had that you just made me think of, Maddy, when I was playing the game, but just that you would get invaded by a little sister or a big sister in BioShock 2, which is a very similar thing. It's actually, those fights are... BioShock 2 is an underrated game. It's really fun. And it's similar to when Juliana invades. It's like a really tough fight that you just have to put up with. That happens systematically throughout the game and not in the scripted way. But no, it's just that energy, like that same feeling. But BioShock is very concerned with narrative and character and like tragedy and these kind of operatic heights of, this grand ambition thwarted and all of this like really dramatic stuff that makes it a very memorable game. This game is like way more Saturday morning cartoons. You're just looping around in time. And like the cutscenes, those little animated cutscenes, I mean, the whole thing just feels much more bouncy and light, which I don't personally feel, at least at this moment in time, is a mark against it at all. Like BioShock was cool, and that's why that game lingers, and maybe Deathloop won't linger in 10 years or something, but it's really fun, and it kind of works for the tone that it's going for.
It might. I mean, Deathloop doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's awesome about it, to your point.
Yeah.
There.
If anything, I wish it took itself even less seriously, because I feel like it shines a lot when it's funny, and the moments when it tries to say something grand about the nature of human existence or love or whatever are the moments when I'm like, this is not it, y'all. Like, you needed to just stick with the goofy stuff and just be a fun video game, because that you're very good at. Like, get me back to Alexis telling a weird joke about how his party is going to be so wet and Wengie should definitely go to it. Like, I that stuff I was totally here for. But
well, where I think Deathloop will linger is that the structure of this game is really unlike the structure of anything I've played before. Like, there's no other game that there are games that do time loops. There are games that deal with like causal effects of time loops, but there are no games that have you like playing them in quite this way, where they're segmented in quite this way, and you have to figure out how to move the pieces between each segment in a way that like Outer Wilds might be the closest, but it's not quite the same.
I mean, I'll say again that anyone who really likes this game should play Prey Mooncrash, because a lot of people didn't play Prey Mooncrash, I believe, including my two co-hosts on this show, and Prey Mooncrash is really good, and you should play it.
That is correct, at least in my case.
I played like an hour of it, but yeah.
I do like that, unlike Outer Wilds, Deathloop doesn't progress in real time, which I would agree with you, Jason, makes it significantly easier. And I think part of why I thought it was hard at first was that I didn't fully understand how permissive the game actually was. And I was a little afraid of like, oh, what can I do and what can't I do? And is this event just going to be progressing no matter what? And do I need to hurry everywhere I go? And then eventually I was
Will
like,
this have lasting consequences?
no, this won't actually trigger anything until I get to this place or what have you. I mean, there are some events that unfold no matter what, but not in the linear fashion that they do in Outer Wilds, where it's like every loop is, 22 minutes, something like that. And it's like, you just have to do things within that time frame and that's it for you. Whereas Deathloop, a morning could last forever if you just keep standing there, which makes no sense.
Yeah, well, it's not really a game that concerns itself with like causal effects the way Outer Wilds or the way Majora's Mask does. Like, it's not a game where you are doing things that then influence the future because everything is resetting so frequently, and you're not like, until the final loop, none of what you do really matters from morning to afternoon to
and
night.
You're just not on an actual timer. I mean, it's not concerned with time in the same way as those games. So it's just like a very fundamentally differently designed game.
Yeah, it's very much like the sandbox that you're meant to play around with, which is all cool. I just wish that final section had just been executed a little differently. I just wasn't happy with the way that all unfolded. But other than that, it's a cool game. Final thoughts before we take a break. I think we all really like this game. Maddy, it sounds like you're the most down on it.
Well, I'm the most down, but I still recommend it. I sort of went through a journey in the past 24 hours since I beat it, where I didn't like the ending. And then I watched a bunch of the cutscenes again on YouTube, and I thought about them, and I was like, I think I see what they were trying to do here, even though it didn't work for me. But I can see some of the ideas, and they're cool. I just don't think they worked. But I get it. And I feel like there were enough things about the game that I liked that it's still worth checking out if it sounds fun to you. Just, go in with the same spirit that you might have had when you watched Looper, where like you don't really need to have it make that much sense, and you're not going to think about it that hard. And just don't worry about it. Just have a fun time, and don't do what I did, where you play the whole game thinking about all the questions you have about how the science works and assuming that you're going to get to read a bunch of documents explaining all of it. You don't do what I did, because it's not going to work out, and you're just going to be sad.
Did you play Prey?
No. Should I?
Okay, yeah.
Does it have a horrible ending, though? Isn't that what you said at the beginning of this episode?
It does.
It's an awesome game, though. Whatever. Who cares? The game is so good.
But no, I was about to say that. Kirk, I was about to say that. A game rules, but like the ending is, you just have to pretend the ending doesn't exist, or like stop like in the final act. But yes, that game rules, and then has just a terrible ending.
I mean, just finish it, and who cares? It's such a good game, even if it has a weird ending.
It is a great game. It is a really
It's also fine if endings are bad. I can just ignore that after a while, and remember that the bulk of my experience was having fun with it, and just be like, oh, well, maybe they'll figure out the tone balance next time. Who knows?
Prey has a lot of the tension that this game lacks, and it just has a lot of, Prey's a really good game. Anyway, let's take a break, and then we will be back with one more thing.
Hi, I'm Annabelle Gurrich.
And I'm Laura House.
And we're the hosts of Tiny Victories.
My tiny victory is that I sewed that button back on the day after it broke.
We talk about that little thing that you did that's a big deal to you, but nobody else cares.
Did you get that Guggenheim Genius Award?
We don't want to hear from you. We want little bitty tiny victories.
My tiny victory is a tattoo that I added onto this past weekend.
Let's talk about it.
My victory is that I'm 1 year cancer free. But my tiny victory is that I took all of the cushions off the couch, pounded them out, put them back, and it looks so great.
So if you're like us and you want to celebrate the tiny achievements of ordinary people, listen to Tiny Victories.
It's on every Monday on Maximum Fun.
Are you riddled with guilt over your TBR pile?
Are you filled with shame about a book that you just can't seem to finish?
Are you having regrets because grad school killed your love of reading?
We're Reading Glasses, and we're here to help.
I'm Mallory.
And I'm Bria.
Let us absolve you of all your reading guilt.
Stuck on a book you don't like?
We'll help you dump it.
Can't figure out what to read next?
We'll recommend something in your wheelhouse.
Can't decide where to buy your books from?
We'll point you in the right direction.
No matter what you read or how you read it,
we'll help you do it better.
Reading Glasses, every Thursday on Maximum Fun.
And we are back. Kirk, Maddy, one more thing. Maddy, take us away.
Okay, so my one more thing is a book that I read that is titled Bullshit Jobs, and it's by David Graeber. And I don't read economic theory very often, but I really loved this. David Graeber is a very funny writer, and he wrote a book that is sort of an extension of a piece that he wrote in 2013 that went viral at the time. That was called On the Phenomenon of Bullshit Jobs.
I think I remember
and it's
this.
about I think he's from the UK, but this ends up being a phenomenon that is international, as he found out in the research for Bullshit Jobs. Like, I assume it's a United States thing, but it's actually something that happens in every society, seemingly, where there are these sort of middle-class administrative positions where people just don't actually have that much work to do, but they have to pretend as though they're working for 8 hours a day. And a lot of times they'll be blocked from like doing anything fun during the day. Like, they can't even look at Twitter or YouTube or whatever. They just have to pretend to work for 8 hours. And all they really have to do is send a couple emails. And you think, like, from the outside, that this would be really pleasant and like, oh, you don't have to do anything all day. Isn't that what everybody would want? But it's actually torturous. And so David Graeber interviewed all these people who've had bullshit jobs about like their experiences and why they left. And a lot of them have become like janitors and construction workers, like the guy at the end of Office Space.
Right,
like, that's like a
right.
real thing that people go through, where they're like, I need to feel like I'm achieving something in life. I can't just have this job that is completely meaningless. Like, people will go out of their gourds. So if you're a listener and you have a bullshit job or you've ever had one, you should read this book because it's very cathartic and it's fascinating. And I also just liked it from a political perspective because I just cannot get a read on what this guy's politics are, which I think is really fun. Because like, he talks a lot about how, like, if you're anti-capitalist, you would assume a bullshit job could never exist because capitalism is supposed to eliminate any job that isn't useful and doesn't make money. And leftists can't possibly acknowledge that these jobs exist. Whereas like communist Russia would implement bullshit jobs simply to keep every single person employed. And so you're like, okay, so I guess this guy's anti-communist. But then he like talks about how libertarians are also wrong about bullshit jobs. And he's like, they assume that only the government has bullshit jobs and that a pure market would never allow for these jobs to exist. So they don't believe me either. And it just ends up being
that's a good
like
sign of a sociologist.
really funny.
Challenging
Yeah.
everything.
Where you're like, okay, like this guy is really challenging everyone's assumptions about how labor works, and reading it post-pandemic is fascinating. I don't know. I really recommend it. I feel like I'm
That's
learning
awesome.
a lot. So it's called
Nice.
Bullshit Jobs.
That sounds good.
By David
Yeah.
Graeber. Cool. Kirk, what have you been up to? What's your one more thing?
My one more thing is a game that I played with.
I played it before. I recommended this game.
This game is on Maddie's recommendation. I bought this. I played this with Emily and a house guest we had over the weekend. It's Hunt a Killer, which is the brand of these sort of, I would call it an escape room in a box. I think that's kind of how it works. And they do subscriptions where there's like 5 chapters, and then each month they send you a new chapter, which is a bunch of cool things to solve. This was just a one-off that you can just buy.
This was Maddy's one more thing a few months ago.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Maddy, this is your one more thing. Yeah.
Yeah, this is on Maddie's recommendation. I decided to get this because her description made it sound really fun. And it was really fun. So this one was called Death at the Dive Bar. I just bought it online. You can buy it straight from their site. And you can sign up for the bigger ones where you get the subscription, or you can buy old ones and they'll still send them to you once a month. This was just, it took us a few hours to solve the murder. It's kind of like a guy dies, the owner of a bar dies, and then his employee thinks there's foul play, and she reaches out to this investigator who you work for, and they send you all her files. So then you just have this like mess of feelies. If you know from feelies from the like PC games of the 80s and 90s where they'd give you a cloth map or a cool, whatever else, like things that are supposed to belong to the protagonist.
And they're all anti-piracy wheels.
Well,
and
then,
stuff.
right, they started using those for anti-piracy, but really just the feelies were always really cool. And there are still game companies that do feelies now. This is just all feelies all the way down. So you've got, photos from the crime scene and printouts of websites and dossiers on all the 4 suspects that you're trying to narrow it down between, and maps and like flyers that were handed out. And everything is so well done. I was so impressed by just the level of polish and execution of this thing. So each physical object is just really cool and very authentic looking. There's a little matchbook that looks like a real matchbook. The printout, there was a site, it's basically Nextdoor, but it's called goodfences.com, which is so funny. Like there's just a lot of really good writing in the world building where they've imagined these sort of alternate versions of things. The writing is all really great. It's all very like character based, and the handwriting is all different, so it all looks really believable. Interestingly, it was set in the 812 area code, which is southern Indiana, and that's where I grew up. So the whole thing is set in a made-up town.
Ooh, so the killer was you, and that was a surprise.
There's a point at which, and I will not spoil anything other than this one thing that I do want to mention. There's a phone number written on the matchbook, and it was an 812 phone number. And the whole time they're talking about Indiana. And then Emily is also from my hometown. So we're both like, holy shit, like this is my area code. Like our home number growing up was an 812 number, and we were actually supposed to call the number, which we didn't realize until way later. And when you call the number, you get a voice, like a voicemail for the character whose number you're calling, like confirming that you figured out who it was. So I was really impressed with this. I thought the writing was so good. There was, I think, one writer on it, and then there's kind of a team of people who made it. But it was just really wonderfully written, really clever, really fun little mystery. It was easy because it was the easy setting, but I'd love to try a harder one. So we're totally going to do more of these. It was a great time. Anyone looking for something to do with like a group of friends?
There are settings in these, so they're like handled differently depending on your setting.
Yeah, there's like a difficulty for each thing you can get. So ours was marked easy, but I believe I don't know how many there are, but they could get a lot harder than the one we did.
So you're saying this specific one was an easy one? And
you can't adjust
Gotcha.
it. No.
Gotcha. Okay, got it.
But I really want to do a harder one. And I think it'd just be fun. Like, if you ever go on a vacation with another group of people and you're going to go out and hike during the day and then at night you do a new chapter in your mystery, I could just see this being such a good time. I really, really endorse it. Nice. I thought it was so fun. So that's Hunt a Killer. Thank you, Maddy, for the recommendation.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you liked it. That's great.
It's really, really, really cool.
Cool. So my one more thing is a little game called Outer Wilds. I've been playing the newly released expansion / DLC for Outer Wilds called Echoes of the Eye.
So I'm just going to go la, la, la.
Kirk, earmuffs, Kirk.
Right,
so you haven't played it at all yet. Neither of you have started it, huh?
I don't know what you're saying. I'm just talking.
Wow, he's really doing it. I'll listen.
He's actually has taken his headphones off. Kirk is going to have to edit this.
This part is an unedited part of the show because Jason and I are the
all right, fine. I'll put
here.
them back on. My headphones are back on.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything.
I know you're
not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to say, okay, so Echoes of the Eye, I haven't finished it all. I played a big chunk of it, a few hours into it, and it rules. It's brilliant. It's really good. Yes. But there's a but. So again, I just won't say anything about it other than like it gives you a cool new space to play in, and it's more Outer Wilds, and it's unrelated to the main, or it's kind of like a side thing. So if you know the main story, there's like a big galaxy, and so this is just another place. It's a big solar system, and this is just another place to explore. It's not related to like the main story, so you don't need to worry about that. They say that like having your ship log filled out with the original game will help you in some way, in some non-essential way. So maybe do that. I mean, if you haven't played Outer Wilds, you should definitely go play it. But anyway, it's a self-contained side thing from what I can tell so far. The new like location that you explore is just brilliant. It's like so clever and plays around with the game's mechanics, introduces new mechanics. It's just brilliant. It's such a fun time just exploring it. But when you start out this DLC, there's a little blurb that is like, some elements of Outer Wilds may be intense. Like you can lower your frights. You can click this menu option that is like lower frights to make it less intense if you don't want like a super scary experience. I gotta say,
did you lower the frights?
The parts it's referring to suck so much that they made me legit want to stop playing and not play anymore. And this is
Because
like
they're scary?
This is like one of my favorite games of all time. And for the DLC to introduce this new mechanic that made me not want to play anymore, it's got to be pretty bad. And yes, it is pretty bad. Fortunately, it's like pretty late from what I can tell into what you will discover. Like you can discover a lot before running into it, but it sucks so badly that I just like might not finish the DLC as a result of it. Maddy, to answer your question, I did try that menu option. It did not really help as far as my own enjoyment. And I won't say anymore, because I know.
Did it do something? Like, do you feel like the menu option like made a change?
I don't know.
It just
I couldn't really tell.
Okay.
But Outer Wilds is all about exploration and discovery and finding things for yourself. So I want to be super vague about all this stuff. But
well, we're going to talk about this for sure. Like once we've all played it,
we may do a Beans cast where we
maybe
talk about
we'll even do a Beans cast.
Well, if we're all too scared to beat it, that might inhibit our ability to do that. But we shall see.
Well, Kirk loves horror stuff, so he
does.
might have
so maybe he'll
perspectives
stream
on
it, and we'll just
like,
watch him do that.
the combination of like what this mechanic is and everything else in Outer Wilds. Like Outer Wilds is a game about exploring and being curious and like really taking the time to poke around with things and see what happens. And this mechanic discourages that, and it's like the opposite of that, and I hate it. But yeah, okay, that's it. That's all I'll say. Yeah. But other than that, Echoes of the Eye. I mean, I don't want this to be like souring the whole thing, because there's so much cool stuff in there, and like I said, the main space that you get to explore is just so good and like so quintessentially Outer Wilds that I just recommend it. Everyone should go play Outer Wilds regardless, but this stuff is really cool, and it makes for a good excuse to like revisit, like hearing that menu music come up. Just like I was like, oh man, this feels like very comforting hearing that music once again, and just like going in and like going around and talking to all the Hearthians. Very cool stuff. Outer Wilds rules. Echoes of the Eye, mixed feelings about it, but most of it is brilliant. All right, nice. That is it for this week's episode. Big thanks to everyone who subscribes. Go check out the Beans Cast, Half-Life 2. For everybody else, we will see you all next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Triple Click is produced by Jason Schreier, Maddy Myers, and me, Kirk Hamilton. I edit and mix the show and also wrote our theme music. Our show art is by Tom DJ. Some of the games and products we talked about on this episode may have been sent to us for free for review consideration. You can find a link to our ethics policy in the show notes. Triple Click is a proud member of the Maximum Fun Podcast Network, and if you like our show, we hope you'll consider supporting us by becoming a member at MaximumFun.org/join. Find us on Twitter at TripleClickPod, send email to tripleclick@MaximumFun.org, and find a link to our Discord in the show notes. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned. Audience supported.